Darren Matthews stood in line at the local bank, nervously shifting his weight from one foot to the other. In his calloused hands, he held a manila folder that was slightly bent at the corners, a folder that contained his life. Pay stubs from his 3 part-time jobs, letters from doctors, his daughter's medical records, and a hand-drawn crayon picture from his 7-year-old daughter, Mia, that read, "Daddy, you're my hero." The line moved forward, and so did Darren, but his heart felt like it was dragging behind him. His shirt was ironed, his beard freshly trimmed, and his shoes polished, details that might seem small to others but were hard-won for a single father working long shifts as a janitor, weekend cook, and night-shift warehouse stocker. When he finally reached the counter, the banker barely made eye contact. "How can I help you today?" Darren took a deep breath. "I'm here to apply for a personal loan, $8,400. It's for my daughter's surgery. She has a congenital heart defect. We've been saving, but we're short." The banker nodded and took the folder, clicking his keyboard with the clinical detachment of someone used to saying no. Minutes passed. Darren's palms sweated as he stood silently, watching the banker's brows furrow. Then came the words he'd feared. "I'm sorry, Mr. Matthews. Based on your credit score, current income, and debt-to-income ratio, we can't approve this loan." Darren blinked. "But I've brought everything. I even have a letter from the hospital confirming the surgery is medically necessary. I can pay it back over time. He stopped, realizing his voice was starting to crack. "I understand, sir," the banker replied coolly. "But the system has thresholds. There's nothing I can do." Behind Darren in the line stood a woman in her early 50s, elegantly dressed in a cashmere coat, holding a leather-bound planner. Her name was Evelyn Hart, though no one in this small Oregon town would have recognized her. To most, she was just another customer at the bank. But in reality, Evelyn was a billionaire tech entrepreneur. Founder of a medical software company that revolutionized patient care, she had made her fortune not by chasing profits but by solving real human problems. And yet, the wealth never made her forget where she came from. She'd grown up in a single-parent household. Her father worked 2 jobs, and her mother had died of an undiagnosed heart condition when Evelyn was only 9. That tragedy, that helplessness, had shaped her entire life. Listening to Darren speak brought all of it rushing back. Darren gathered his folder, eyes on the floor, shame written across his face. "Thank you for your time," he mumbled. As he turned to leave, Evelyn stepped forward. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice kind but firm. "I couldn't help but overhear. May I talk to you for a moment?" Darren looked puzzled. Sure." She gently guided him to a quieter corner of the bank's lobby. "Is your daughter okay?" "She will be," he replied quietly. "If I can find the rest of the money in time. Her surgery is scheduled in 2 weeks. We've raised a little through community fundraisers, and I've picked up extra shifts, but the hospital needs the full payment before they can proceed." I didn't know what else to do. There was a pause as Evelyn looked into his tired, hopeful eyes. Then she spoke words that would change his life. "I want to help you. I'll cover the full amount." Darren blinked, thinking he misheard her. I'm sorry. "I mean it," she said. "I'll pay for your daughter's surgery. No strings attached." Why would you do that for someone you don't know?" Evelyn's expression softened. "Because once, I was in your shoes. My mother died because we couldn't afford care. I know what it feels like to watch someone you love suffer and feel powerless to stop it. You shouldn't have to go through that. Not when I can help." Emotion welled up in Darren's eyes. I don't know what to say. I can't pay you back, not now." "You don't need to. Just promise me one thing," she said. "That one day, when you're in a position to help someone else, you will." Tears spilled from Darren's eyes as he nodded. "I promise." Right there in the bank lobby, Evelyn called her financial advisor and transferred the funds directly to the hospital. Within an hour, the procedure was secured. 2 weeks later, Mia's surgery was a success. The doctor said the repair had gone perfectly and that she would now grow up with a full, healthy life ahead of her. Darren sat beside her hospital bed, holding her small hand, quietly whispering thanks, not just to the doctors, but to the woman he now thought of as an angel. Mia asked him once, "Daddy, is Miss Evelyn real? Or is she like a fairy from my books?" Darren smiled, brushing her hair back. "She's real, sweetheart. Just a very special kind of real." 5 years later, Mia stood on the stage at her school's Future Heroes speech contest. She was 12 now, bright, confident, and full of dreams. "My hero," she said into the microphone, "is my dad. He never gave up on me, even when the world said no. And he taught me that sometimes, strangers can become your family in the moments you least expect it. One kind woman saved my life. And I want to grow up to be just like her. I want to be a doctor and help kids the way she helped me." In the audience, Evelyn sat beside Darren, quietly wiping a tear from her cheek. Years later, Mia did become a pediatric cardiologist. She specialized in underserved communities and opened a foundation to help children whose families couldn't afford surgery. At the entrance of her clinic, a small plaque read, "In honor of Evelyn Hart, proof that compassion can rewrite destiny." Sometimes, we're so focused on numbers, systems, and policies that we forget the power of simple human kindness. But all it takes is one person, one act of compassion, to change someone's entire world. Be that person. Because you never know whose life you might be saving.